We see it everywhere. Magazines, books, the internet. People fighting for their freedom of speech. Or they claim to. But sometimes I think it goes too far. Where should we draw the line? How free should free speech really be?
You're always on display for everyone to watch and learn from, don't you know?
Alright, so let's go back to where this all started. The Constitution of the United States. Okay, so this isn't really the Constitution, but let's take a look. Alright, so the First Amendment reads, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay, so basically, we can say what we want, publish what we want, and diss the government all we want, as long as we do it peacefully. But as far as drawing some sort of line, the Constitution is about as ambiguous as the rule of pornography. I know it when I see it. So let's take a look at what other UTA students think.
I guess speaking whatever you would like to speak.
You can say anything about the president you want and you won't get, go to jail or something like that.
Basically their personal opinions.
To voice your opinion about certain issues.
But there's a limit to it, everything has a limit to it.
Well, I think there should be boundaries. I don't think that, you should be able to say anything, I think there should be, parameters.
A domain of things.
Write it in a little newspaper where people can give you feedback on it, but just don't, go all big and be like, oh.
But for the most part, I think you should say what you would like to say or whatever belief you have.
That's what they think. Now what do I think? Well, actually it's along the same lines. To exercise one's right to free speech, one has to apply discretion and use responsibility. Sure, everyone's entitled to their opinions, but that doesn't mean some newspaper editor can publish some story saying that Hitler had it right, there should be another Holocaust, and then hide behind the First Amendment because the author has a right to free speech, and because of that he had to publish it. Which actually happened. You can read about it in here. The Blair Reader, it's a good book if you get the chance. Anyways, what should have happened? The editor should have had enough common sense to use some discretion and selected another article. Want another example? Well, let's take Andrew Meyer, the guy famous for shouting, "Don't tase me, bro!" Not familiar? Well, basically, there's John Kerry event, right? During the Q&A portion. Andrew Meyer, well, it'd just be easier to show you the clip.
That's the distinction. Sir.
I first and foremost want to thank you for your time. You spent a lot of time talking to us here today. I want to thank you for coming and being open and honest. You recommended a book to us earlier. I wanted to recommend a book to you. It's called Art Madhouse by Greg Palat.
Yeah, I have it, actually.
Yeah, he's the top investigative journalist in America.
I've already read it.
And he says you won the 2004 election.
Right.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? You won in 2004. In fact, there were multiple reports on the day of the election of disenfranchisement of black voters in Florida and Ohio. I'll ask my question. Thank you very much. Thank you for cutting my mic. Thank you. Are you going to arrest me? Excuse me. Excuse me. What are you arresting me for? Whoa, 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 whoa. Is anybody watching this? I'm not doing it. Get the off me, man. I didn't do anything. Tase me, bro. Don't tase me. I didn't do anything.
Okay, so there's this huge hubbubaloo about Meyer's right to free speech. He tried to use it, instead he got tasered. But the vast majority of the people who think this don't have all the facts. Before the camera started rolling, it was announced that any profanity or vulgarity used by anyone asking a question were a result of the cutting off of their microphone. So a line formed behind a mic, Meyer being one of them, and people began asking their questions. After a little bit of time, There's another announcement saying that it was time to start wrapping things up and there was only time for one more question. It was then when Meyer barged his way to the front of the line and started hurling his questions at Kerry. After about a minute and a half of this, he mentions the impeachment of Clinton.
Let's impeach Bush now. Impeach Bush now before we can invade Iran. Why don't we impeach him? Impeach Bush. Clinton was impeached for what? A blowjob? Why don't we impeach?
Now, it was already made clear that there is to be no profanity or vulgarity, and this is what ultimately leads to the microphone being turned off. The university police begin to escort him out, but Meyer begins to resist using any and all means, including violence, which is a felony to use violence against an officer of the law. Now, as this continues, they begin to warn him that if he doesn't settle down, they will be forced to taser him. As an alternative, though, they try to handcuff him, but they're only able to get one hand. So, they continue to warn him that if he doesn't calm down, he will be tasered, and this is what eventually ends up happening. Now, it's arguable whether or not the use of the taser was necessary. There's no way this was suppression of free speech. Though it's difficult to hear in the video, Kerry was heard saying, "That's alright, let me answer his question." He was even in the process of answering Myers as he was taken into custody. What it all boils down to is that Andrew Meyer wasn't very responsible, nor did he use discretion. He failed to adhere to the rules of the forum, and because of that, he ultimately was arrested.
It was 100 degrees as we sat beneath a willow tree whose tears didn't care. They just hung in the air and refused to fall, to fall. And I knew I'd made a horrible call.